Just days ago, the U.S. Navy quietly moved one of its most powerful carrier strike groups, the USS Gerald R. into the Caribbean Sea, a region Washington hasn't militarized this heavily in decades. The Pentagon says it's a counter-narcotics operation, but Latin America knows that line too well, because every time the U.S. sends a carrier that close to Venezuela, it's never just about drugs. According to Reuters, October 24, 2025, the U.S. Navy deployed the Gerald R. Ford Carrier Strike Group, along with destroyers and support vessels, to the southern Caribbean. Days later, the USS Gravely made port in Trinidad and Tobago, just off Venezuela's coast. Officials described the move as regional cooperation, but local observers called it what it really is, a show of force. The Ford-class carrier carries over 75 combat aircraft, including F/A-18 Super Hornets and electronic warfare growlers, the kind of assets analysts say no one needs for catching drug smugglers. So if this is just about drugs, why does the U.S. need the most advanced carrier in its fleet? Stay with me. Share your thoughts in the comments and hit subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. The timing couldn't be more symbolic. Recently, Venezuela and Guyana reignited tensions over the oil-rich Essequibo region, and Russia publicly reaffirmed its strategic defense partnership with Caracas. By moving an American carrier nearby, Washington sends a direct warning, not just to President Maduro, but to Moscow and Beijing, who've invested billions into Venezuela's oil and mining sectors. Latin America, once dismissed as America's backyard, is suddenly a front line of great power competition again. When Russia backs Venezuela and China owns its oil, then is America drawing a new red line? The U.S. hasn't positioned a carrier this close in years, and the timing is no coincidence. Now, under President Trump, the tone is clearly shifted. Less diplomacy, more deterrence. Analysts warn these moves risk destabilizing regional security, potentially pushing Caracas closer to Russia and Iran, nations that already operate joint military training centers near Venezuelan territory. So the question isn't whether this is just an exercise. The question is, what happens when two rival blocs start flexing muscle in the same waters? If deterrence pushes Venezuela into Russia's arms, then has the strategy already backfired? Across the globe, the U.S. is spreading its fleet thinner, from the Mediterranean to the Red Sea, and now the Caribbean. Each deployment sends a message. America is back in control. But beneath the headlines lies a strategic dilemma. How long can Washington sustain multiple flashpoints at once without stretching its navy to the breaking point? But can America afford to be everywhere at once? Or is it spreading itself too thin to win anywhere? The Caribbean hasn't seen this kind of power projection since the Cold War, and for millions living along those coasts, the sight of an American supercarrier isn't reassurance. It's a reminder that the balance of power is shifting once again. What do you think? Is this just deterrence, or the first step toward a new front in America's long shadow war? Subscribe to True Talk for deeper coverage of global conflicts that mainstream media won't touch.